and welcome to Walk West's first ever LinkedIn Live. I'm Sharon Delaney McCloud, and joining me is our CEO of Walk West, Karen Albritton. It is so great to have you here.
It's great to be here, Sharon, and I'm excited to do our first LinkedIn Live.
Yes, and this is not only our first LinkedIn Live, but it's also our first chance for us to talk to you in an external platform about how your first couple of months have been here as the CEO of Walk West. I'd love if you could give a little background of how you got here, and then what are you thinking about these first couple months?
Well, first of all, I'm going to answer that in reverse. The first couple of months have been fantastic. It's a great team. I've spent a lot of this time getting to know our team, getting to know some of our awesome clients, and just learning really about what this agency is capable of, and I've really enjoyed that. I would also say that my journey has been mostly working in this community in the Triangle in marketing and doing that with other agencies that are here, but then also over the years working with a lot of the great clients and community partners that we have here.
And I'll tell you, first of all, would love for those of you joining us right now, please pop in your questions. We do have, I'm actually going to click on the comment box so that we can have you all join this conversation. As promised, when we planned this LinkedIn Live, we're going to be talking about 3 top trends that you've identified as something that we all should be thinking about right now, whether you're a marketer or you're a company that wants to grow and grow with us potentially. But let's go back to some of your background. Let me tell you, Karen, when I told people that you were joining us as CEO, people in this market who have known your long expertise and all the work you've done over the last number of years at incredibly talented agencies and teams, they were like, wow, you guys are so lucky. And we really already feel that. I already feel such a new, oh, goodness gracious. Step 1, silence your phone when you're going live. There we go, live broadcasts. But, you know, it's for us, we're a much smaller agency than what you left behind.
Well, now you're smaller now, but not smaller than you're going to be, and also not smaller than some of the agencies that I worked with. So when I started at Capstrat, which was then Capital Strategies, we were very close to the size that Walk West is now. And, this is an ideal size for an agency. I think it's ideal because it allows us to be very flexible and very nimble and very responsive to what clients need.
I love that. I love that. All right, let's get to what we promised. The top 3 trends, as you see it, that we should all be thinking about right now. And one of them was really about digital transformation. Let's talk about that, Karen.
Certainly. So one of the challenges for marketers today, as well as one of the opportunities, is how marketers navigate innovation. The American Marketing Association, when they released their first ever intellectual agenda, that was one of the 7 big opportunities for marketers, really navigating innovation. And that happens in 2 ways. One is when you look at what CEOs and major companies are interested in today. Deloitte recently released a survey on this regarding 2021 priorities for CEOs, and there were 2. One of them was growth coming out of the digital transformation, which so many companies have accelerated through the pandemic, and then the second is workforce. But going back to innovation, marketers have an obligation to really embrace that in a couple of ways. One is in terms of how we as marketers apply innovation and apply technology. So that starts with just the marketing tech stack and all of the tools that we are using now, from marketing automation, Salesforce automation, to new tools in machine learning and artificial intelligence to help us be better at implementing marketing programs. So there's so many opportunities there. Then the second piece of that is, what is marketing's role within these companies who are undergoing digital transformation, shifting how they do their business, shifting how they work with clients? How does marketing inform that? And also, how does marketing help drive adoption? So let me go back to how marketing informs that. Marketers have a critical role to play as that link between the customer and the marketplace and product development. And so as it relates to innovation, we can come up with a lot of bells and whistles with technology, but it should be informed by what consumers really want. And that's where marketers have a very important role to play, that voice of the customer.
Let's break that down and unpeel that onion just a tad. Is there an example something concrete that we can talk about that you've seen over the last few months or moving forward that we can pinpoint and say that's innovation in action?
It's a great question. Let me start with one on the applying marketing. We're at a point now where really machine learning can help us so much with how we implement plans and both how we do creative for clients and then also how we disseminate that message out into the marketplace. So, there are companies that are using AI to literally create their commercials. And as someone who loves the creative process, that is almost heresy to me. But if I think about the possibility for it to augment what creative teams are doing and allow us to generate more options and make the production part of it more efficient and give us more scale and opportunity there, that can be great. So that's one thing. And then we are also really applying those tools as we look at our media planning and buying. How can we be smarter, more targeted, have real-time optimization with our clients and with their investments? Mm-hmm. So those are a couple of areas where the applying marketing automation and marketing technology within the tech stack can help. And then as we think about the second piece of this, I'm working with a client now where marketing is really having more input in terms of how they develop their next iteration of technology. And so that is really exciting to see where marketing can go and do the customer surveys, do the inputs, have the conversations with customers, have that perspective on with a technologist. Here's what we're hearing. Mm-hmm. Can you help us respond to that in the marketplace?
It's interesting. I think oftentimes people from the outside looking into marketing feel marketing is just a one-way conversation, companies and brands, organizations speaking out. But marketing is so much more. It is exactly what you said about doing customer surveys, focus groups, trying to understand what is the need. Mm-hmm. How can we help our customers, patients, clients get care or get whatever they need from us better. And it's really a two-way conversation.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
And we can do that in traditional methods like you've indicated, but also I think with social listening, and there's so many other tools. Again, this is where we can go scrape the data and help inform what's happening so that the products that come out are things that we actually need.
That's great. So we'd love for you all to let us know in the comments below. Do you have any other examples of maybe some digital innovation efforts that are really helping with what your company is doing? Let's move on to this next piece, which is a trend about the digital natives and millennials and how that has changed in your career, how I've seen it in my career.
Yeah, so this whole, the great thing about what's happening and the need for marketing to embrace and help navigate the digital transformation that's happening in all of our companies is that marketing leaders, those that are coming up and that are in leadership today, they are more capable of doing this than any generation that we've had because it is millennials. If you think about who the marketing directors, the SVPs of sales and marketing, the CMOs of today, who are they? They are the millennials. They are digital natives. They have grown up with it. They are completely comfortable embracing what's next and bringing it to market. So that's one of the really exciting trends that I see in how the face of who is leading marketing is changing. It also occurs to me that, I mentioned some sentimentality that I have for the legacy of how marketing has been done. And I suspect there are others in companies who say, boy, I remember, we used to do it this way. Well, this next generation of leaders, they're not encumbered by that. So they are very open to, let me figure out how I can use technology to do this better. And to do it smarter, to do it faster. And so I think that's one of the things that I see with our clients and with our team is just this new generation of leadership.
I also have to give a nod to you, Karen, because you demonstrate what I love too, which is you're a lifelong learner, but you really mean that. You're currently doing your MBA.
Yeah.
Right. You're always learning the next thing. So those of us who are not in the millennial generation, but maybe the next one up. So what was that? Gen X, Gen Z? Yeah.
Yeah.
So we have to make sure we're embracing what those digital transformations are so that we know what the latest and greatest is so we can be great partners with these new leaders coming up.
Right. And there's never been, it's so easy to do it. I mean, you don't necessarily have to go back to a formal certification, but all of these tools and technologies, if you're looking at Moz or SEMrush or HubSpot or Salesforce Product, any of these technologies now that we're using in the application of marketing, particularly the marketing promotion side, they all have academies and learning and there's so much opportunity to learn and to really try it out.
I totally agree. I mean, look at us. This is our first shot at LinkedIn Live. And, it's a technical thing and we're all learning how to do this and some simple things like silencing your phone. But beyond that, I think we're all a student of learning this. And while we may not all be perfect right at once, we shouldn't shy away from trying this new stuff. Now, let's talk about the discussion that all of us are hearing right now. Is talent recruitment. Wow. And we did hear, and I read a lot about, coming out of COVID, the great resignation, and that's across many industries. But in our space too, we are also really feeling the squeeze with competing to get excellent quality talent because it's tough right now.
It is. And so going back to what CEO priorities are now, Gartner also released their 2021 priorities, and the thing that jumped the most was the focus on talent and their workforce. It jumped by 24%.
Ooh.
So it was not as much of an issue, a year and a half ago as it is today, and so that then also creates an opportunity for marketing. So I guess I maybe see everything as an opportunity for marketing, but Peter Drucker says the role of business is to create a customer, and that's why innovation and marketing are the two areas to focus on. And so you would think of marketing's role as really to create a customer. But what I think now is that companies are saying, hey, marketing, I need you to help me create an engaged employee. Because I'm driving growth, but I've got to get the talent to help me with that. And so that creates opportunities for us. To make sure, first of all, that the brand is speaking to employees and the purpose of the company. It creates opportunities for marketers as we're thinking about doing more inclusive recruitment. Because if you think about how you recruit now, we typically all recruit from our network. And while that can be very beneficial, it also can be limiting. So how can we open that up and be more inclusive in our recruiting? And then, also how do we help our internal leaders and companies as they are building culture? Communication is such an important part of that. And that's a place where marketing can play a vital role.
A huge role. And, it's interesting. I recently interviewed one of our clients, CEO Jeffrey Hawting of LCI. And he also was talking about trying to hire people, but he has a solution. And so do our other friends at Abler, that a lot of people don't think about. When you think about inclusive marketing and inclusive recruiting, there's an entire population of people that a lot of companies are overlooking, and that's people with different abilities or disabilities. And there's an entire population of people ready to work. And so I would challenge, for those of you all who would like to learn a little bit more about that, message us, DM us. We will connect you with the people that can help you look at a more diverse recruiting pool of candidates.
Absolutely. And I will say another one of our clients who is with the community college, we've got an excellent community college system here in North Carolina, made an interesting observation. And that is, how many jobs out there say 4-year degree required when in reality, maybe it shouldn't be required? And how many people do you know? I would suspect there are a lot of people that that you don't even know this about them, that they maybe didn't finish their 4-year degree because of some circumstance that happened. That's often what happens when it's about, can I pay tuition or can I pay my rent? Or I have a family member who needs help. And so that's an example of how, again, marketers, from both the input of looking at the world around us and understanding what's happening, how we can play a bigger role in our companies and in helping open up our talent pipeline.
I think there's been a lot more openness to the idea that not every job requires a 4-year degree. It requires the willingness to learn on the job and be able to demonstrate your enthusiasm to get the work done. And I think that, in this tight labor market, I think all of us are starting to expand what we think are the boxes that need to be checked.
Right. And I can tell you, I'm very proud, and I loved my 4-year degree. I'm a Tar Heel. But I can tell you that 4-year degree, I need new skills.
Mm-hmm.
And I think most of us see that. So the 4-year degree that we got, it may prove something that we could accomplish at a certain point in time, but it doesn't necessarily prepare us for the challenges of today.
Exactly. In addition to being the CEO of Walk West, also getting your MBA right now, you are also the board chair for the American Marketing Association. We're not talking the Triangle chapter, which you've been the president of before. We're talking the National American Marketing Association. And that's a volunteer job, isn't it?
It is.
How has volunteerism really played into your career development?
Well, first of all, I often say that if you can be the president of a local AMA chapter, you should absolutely do it. It is one of the great opportunities that I've had in my career, because the local chapters are such great communities and so supportive and do a lot for our profession and help us as the overall AMA. In pursuing our vision of being the essential resource for marketers. But regardless of where you choose to volunteer, I just simply say that volunteering, and for me, volunteering with the AMA has been the single best professional development opportunity that I've ever had.
Wow.
Single best. And I've paid for a lot of training.
Mm-hmm.
I'm getting additional training now. But I would just say that what it has exposed me to, first of all, the different perspectives, the different individuals that I've met, that the learning and just having that from a volunteer perspective has been fantastic. I would say the other thing is when you volunteer and you're on a board, you're working with other volunteers, and when you start to lead that group of volunteers, whether it's a committee or a full board, you are leading people, and that's a skill, and you're leading people who are not being compensated to do the work.
Mm-hmm. Additional challenge.
So you've got to make it interesting and something they want to do, and so that's a second piece, is that opportunity to try on new skills and leadership in a volunteer organization, and then the third is simply presence. With you have that opportunity, like we're trying this on today, but maybe you don't have that opportunity in your day-to-day job. You don't work with anybody like Sharon here who's like, hey, let's go do this LinkedIn Live. But when you're in a volunteer organization, you have that opportunity to present. To if you're in a fundraising capacity, you have that opportunity to go out and sell, and ask people for something without it being any risk to you or your organization. And so I am just a huge champion for finding something that you care about and volunteering, and I would just challenge business leaders to be supportive of that, because I will say Walk West they're incredibly supportive of my role with the AMA. My past employers have encouraged that and have supported me with that. And by support, I mean, they let me leave for those 2 hours when I have a board meeting in the middle of the day, or when there's a luncheon or an event. They support me in that way. And I think that's important for companies, because employees now, when we talk to them, when they're interviewing us, they're not just looking for what you say. You can say on your website that you have people who are involved. They're looking for what you do, and they can see whether or not you're doing that in supporting volunteerism.
And building that volunteerism initiative at your company also helps build the culture. And that's a big, all of this leads to the culture building, which is what all of us, no matter what industry you're in right now, we all have to do a really great job of creating a place that people want to be. And then not only be, but bring their best selves, and also stay, hopefully. We want to build out some great teams. And so I think all of that leads to creating a super place to work. And that's our charge with you. And we hope that we're supporting you in a way that you feel like we're doing our best for you, for our clients, and for each other each day at Walk West.
Oh, I absolutely think that Walk West walks the talk in this area. And that was one of the things that attracted me, to it, just in terms of all the things that the employees are doing. And that brings just a richer level of talent here because they have all these outside perspectives. So I'd be interested in hearing from anybody who's watching on your thoughts on supporting employees with volunteerism, on your thoughts of, is that even a role that business needs to be in?
Mm-hmm.
Because that's there are two sides of that story. So.
There sure are. Well, Karen, this has been great. Thank you so much for spending some time. You told me, how are we going to fill 20 minutes? What in the world? We easily did it. I think we could probably talk for quite a bit more, but we would love to extend this conversation. So drop some questions into the chat and we will certainly get back to you after the fact or DM us with any of your perspectives on what you've heard with our conversation today. Karen, again, thank you so much.
Thank you.
We will see you next time on LinkedIn Live. Bye.